Where are we, dude?
It appears we have found ourselves in Area 62.
Area 62? What's that?
Mostly a state of mind and being emanating from somewhere within the Mojave Desert, but also a podcast sharing the culture of the high desert, beaming from Copper Mountain College in Joshua Tree. My protocols require me to state that the views you find expressed inside of Area 62 are the personal views of those participating in the podcast, not the official policies or positions of Copper Mountain College or the Copper Mountain Community College District.
Today in Area 62, we're featuring singer-songwriter Shawn Mafia. Shawn's accompanied by Big Dave Johnson, the Desert Yeti.
No foul play was involved. We all knew better, cause there was a body found out back at the main society's bingo hall. Face down in the dumps, a tattoo Debbie had fallen. So neck snapped like a twig. Reaper flipped a coin and a lid slammed down. Hush, sleeping beauty, don't make a sound. Dead man don't tell no tales outside the school. Dope fiends got to abide by the golden rule. Do unto others as they would do unto you.
Hi, this is your boy JRod here in Area 62 with my co-host
Nayeli, and here we are today joined with Shawn Mafia and Big Dave, the Yeti man. Or correct me, is it Yeti man or?
It's here I'll do it. Big Dave Johnson, the Desert Yeti.
Oh man, that's a good radio.
This guy
voice.
gave me that nickname and it stuck, I guess.
How did he get that nickname?
I just was unkept.
Well, first,
So I think that it was just a Yeti, like making fun of me.
What it was because on his driver's license it says Dave Johnson. Mm-hmm. So then we added the big, and then we added the Desert Yeti.
Oh no!
And over the course of like a couple years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know how we came up with that.
I've been a good sport about it.
That was too many years and too many drinks ago.
Yeah, it was back in the day.
Interesting. So you guys both grew up out here, or let's get into your guys' background stories.
So Shawn Mafia here. I wasn't paying attention. I was trying to log into Facebook and my Shawn Mafia, and I can't remember my password. Is that tragic?
Oh my God.
But anyways, I was born in Palm Springs, if you can believe that. At Desert Regional Medical Center back when it was down the street. It wasn't where it is now.
Oh, twins.
And then I grew up in the desert. My parents were school teachers in 29 Palms. I went to school in 29 Palms and lived in Yucca Valley and Joshua Tree. Then I ventured out in the world, and the world kicked me back here.
So, Dave Johnson, how'd you get your name and your background, please?
Well, I broke into the Marine base, and there was this Marine. I knocked him down and bent his weapon in half. And then there were 7 witnesses that said that there was a Sasquatch that was on the base, and I ran.
Hold on, was this when you were born?
No, this is 74.
Okay.
74. Yucca Man was also seen out at Edwards Air Force Base by the cameras, the security cameras going around the fence. But no, I didn't get my name. This guy just said, "Hey, that's the Desert Yeti." And then, and that was it for that. But
well, for the audience that doesn't have the privilege of to be able to visually see us, which is probably a good thing, Dave is a striking, very,
robust.
He's 6'3",
4
with a beard and long hair, and he's just
kind
He's an animal.
Kind of resembling ZZ Top.
A little bit.
He's got a little
maybe.
top going.
Little ZZ Top. I love ZZ Top, but
Who doesn't?
yeah, I'm saving a lot of money on barbers, and pocketing that, just trying to get some money in my return,
Good. Frugality is awesome.
Yeah.
But tell me, where'd you grow up?
Well, I was born in Riverside, which a lot of people are not proud of. I am, because I love that neighborhood. Back then, you can grow up playing hide and go seek in the neighborhood, and nobody really messed with you. There was a time in California when it was pretty magic, and I appreciate that. I had great parents. They helped me out a lot, and it was fun. I got to walk through the orange grove to school. You pick out an orange and just eat it on the way. You got your nutrition.
That drive-in theater that was over there on Arlington.
Oh yeah,
It's still there.
It's still there.
Still there. They used to have a swap meet all the time. Used to get like these little candy cigarettes back then.
I love the candy
Me
cigarettes.
too. And blow out the fake smoke.
Blow the fake smoke out. Be eating it.
Scare
Good
everyone.
stuff.
But what's your guys' relationship? So this is your Dave is your bass player, but how did you guys meet?
Man, I don't even remember. I think, well, backing it up, so...
I do remember it was the Beatnik.
It was the
days.
Beatnik Cafe.
We go there, and Ted Quinn had an open mic, and everybody from the neighborhood would go there. It was a great open mic, and one day Shawn was there, and he goes, "I see you got an amp. Can I borrow it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess so." And so I let him borrow it for his performance, and he did really good. And then later on, he was playing, and I backed him up on bass a little bit, and then I decided to join his band. But yeah, that was back
I
in
forgot about that.
Yeah.
The whole amp thing.
Yeah, the amp thing.
Did I break your amp? Or was
No,
it
you
okay?
didn't.
Okay.
It was resilient.
So I was actually out as a solo artist, and at the Beatnik Cafe, which was pretty legendary back in the day. And so there always a compendium of different various characters, from singer-songwriters to comedians to performance artists to full bands. And I was always looking up for people that would have the daring ability to perform with me.
And Dave was that guy.
Dave eventually, he wasn't at first, but he eventually became that
just
guy.
adventuresome enough, I was very curious about music back then, and it was a good experience because there was such a supportive audience, and you felt free to do that type of thing, which is just like, a lot of these places, a lot of venues around here, especially ones in Pioneer Town, I'm not going to mention, but they used to have open mics, And open mic is like a garden. It's a musical garden. You gotta tend it, take care of it. You have to have an appreciative audience, And what I used to like about being at Pappy and Harriet's for open mic is you get people from all over the world, and they would come there and they'd perform and say, "Hey, I played the stage at Pappy and Harriet's," and then once Paul McCartney came out there, it was a different story, It's like, "Hey, I played the stage at Pappy and Harriet." So you got people coming from Tennessee, from Africa, from Europe, from the Middle East. We had people from everywhere. And big name performers went out there too. Like Shooter Jennings waited till the whole staff was gone one night and performed for the staff after the open mic was over.
Do you feel like it's not like that anymore? Doesn't have the same...
No, they did away with it once they sold it. So the new owners were like, they did away with the Sunday band, the Shadow Mountain band every Saturday would open up for bands, and then the open mic. So I guess a lot of the local population got kind of squeezed out when that transaction took place.
I think it's more
which
of
was
a...
unfortunate.
Well, it's not just logistically like... Well, it is logistically like that too, but it's generational. Is that, people before social media was so huge and that anybody could broadcast themselves and become an entity. All they needed was a password and a screen name, that you had to actually go out and get up in front of people and perform live to be able to be seen. And not everybody, had the ability to do that, where everybody has ability to pull out their phone and just kind of start performing that type of thing. So I don't know if people are as into the open mic as they used to be. generationally.
It's unfortunate, but I think that live performers can benefit from it.
Well,
especially.
you're going to benefit as a live performer.
There's
getting
always
up
an
on
appreciative audience at old mic. It's people who support music.
So, Mr. Mafia,
Yes.
where do you get your musical inspirations and why?
Wow, that's a loaded question. Let's see. So, backing up, when I was a small child, my father listened to a lot of 70s singer-songwriters, folk rock, which include Jim Croce, Gordon Lightfoot, Harry Chapin, all that type of stuff. So I was exposed to that all through my childhood. So I just loved characters, and I loved storytelling, and I loved how somebody could get a guitar and get up and just on their own sing and be able to tell stories and that type of thing. So I ventured out in the world, and I looked for interesting people and interesting situations I could get myself into, which weren't always good, but you needed something to be able to write about. So that it's always been a passion of mine to be able to explore the human condition and to be able to share it with other people, whether it's my own experience or observationally somebody else.
That's good. That leads me to one of my questions for you is, how much of your music or music in general is storytelling, and how much of that storytelling is based on true events or just made up random for fun?
Well, it's kind of a amalgamation of all those things. So if it was like a recipe I could give you, like for chicken noodle soup, it's like my own experiences tend to be, well, it depends on the song, but it tends to always be maybe 25% of the ingredients, and then there's 25% of something I've experienced outside of myself or I vicariously experienced through somebody else. And then there's the percentage of embellishment, because I believe like art is supposed to exist as an exaggeration. It shouldn't be like extreme realism in the sense that this is exactly how it happened and how it is. You're supposed to take an event or a story and embellish it so it like exists on a higher level. That's what I love about the recording studios, because you're taking a song, you're creating something out of thin air and developing into an idealized version of what it could be. So there's always an abstraction. There are always, it's not always I don't want to say there's lying in the song. There's not always
Right.
100% truth. So it's a lot of that stuff. But there's always some fragment of my own experience kind of buried in there, even if it's only one line.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, that also brings me to ask you, how much of your own vulnerability how much of your vulnerability do you use in your creation process? Is it therapeutic for you, or is it hard and uncomfortable? Or because some of your songs I can definitely tell are based on real experiences.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, I guess it depends on the time frame of, having been writing songs for years and years. You can kind of look back and see things that were hard and vulnerable, kind of ouch, I kind of put myself on display a little too much in that song. Whereas I do now, I freely, I don't know how you put this, verbally berate and abuse myself, and I don't have any issue with it. It's hard to say. I mean, certain songs are about specific things that were difficult things in my life, and that other songs are just kind of like not about that. So it's just a sprinkling and mixture.
But when you're writing, I think you kind of have to open up your soul and be just like, okay, world, here's my song. Go ahead, berate me. I don't care. This is what it is, and accept it or not.
Yeah, you do that in a way, but as I've gotten older, I kind of appreciate the craft of songwriting, how it's put together, and how you can take a story that maybe is loosely based on events and add to it to make it a better story. So that's more of where I'm at right now.
Interesting.
Than really wanting to be like, oh, this thing happened to me and I want the world to know about it,
Yeah,
I'd
it's
rather
not a
make it
pity thing.
a beautiful story or a movie or piece of art than to really just bleed all over the song, so to speak.
And then something I've noticed, like after a few years and you play the songs a few times, they get their own kind of energy and they
Well,
kind of change and grow as themselves too.
Well, they
Much
become
agreed.
something else. Like there's songs I do now that I wrote 10 years ago that meant something then. And when I perform it now, it means something completely different. It's just maybe connected to a moment in time, or it's not really the event anymore. Or you just appreciate how good of a song it is. Enjoy singing it and playing it.
So, Shawn, you said that you started rock and your love of music from your dad. Is he still alive with us?
Yeah, my parents are both, thankfully, knock on wood, still here.
Okay, amen. So, do you feel more closer with your dad now that you perform like his type of music? Like, does he go to see you?
Ooh, that's
Oh, yeah, my parents, they come to see me, you know.
good parent.
Good parents.
They've always been great supporters. Sometimes I do certain songs. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to like that. But they've always been super supportive. They still come out and see me when they can, and they enjoy the music, and they like to see where it goes, what directions it takes.
What was the reaction when you started coming out as a performer and an artist?
Terror and horror. Yes, kidding. No, they've been supportive. They find it interesting.
Interesting.
Everything that I do. I hope. They always show up. I'm assuming they're into it in a way.
Well, how old were you then when you started making music and getting into it?
Well, first picked up a guitar at like 14, and then I played bass and jazz band in high school. I was in various like punk rock bands and rock bands and that type of thing. I kind of stepped out as something in the mode of a singer-songwriter, vocalist with an acoustic guitar in my early 20s, and went from there.
So, who would be your influences nowadays for music?
I'm pretty much all over the place. I mean, in every genre of music, there's probably something I like, except maybe EDM death metal. I'm still looking for the song, but it's got to be out there. But when it comes to the type of thing that I performed here today, Shawn Mafia, singer-songwriter, it's mainly been the three that I mentioned before from the 70s, and Tom Waits, Warren Zevon. And then I was a huge fan of like punk rock bands like X and the Sex Pistols, but I listen to classical music. I listen to hip hop. I listen to 80s soft rock. I mean, everything you can get, like song structures and melody and good lyrical stories. You should never like pigeonhole yourself into one genre. Always take and steal from everything. Right, Dave?
Right.
But you steal from the grocery store.
No, I never
You
have.
don't? Okay, good.
Ever.
So, how long you been singing?
I've been trying to sing since I was 14.
Okay, that's good. You
I think I'm
actually
finally
do-
in my groove.
Yeah. Yeah, your groove
Well,
is
it took
going
like
good.
25 years, but I'm finally in the groove.
But I want to know more about your day job. Can you enlighten us a little more?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, and then I want to know how much of your day job material goes into your music.
Okay, so let me preface this by saying that there's the mythology of the artist Shawn Mafia, and then there's the reality of the person, Shawn, which is my real name. So I've always worked jobs while I've been a struggling performer, sometimes not struggling with it. It kind of ebbs and flows. I've done a lot of great things, put out a lot of music, but you always kind of need to support yourself financially at the end of the day. So for the last 20 years, I've been in the employment of a funeral home. You can call me an undertaker if you want to.
Okay. So, what's your favorite song that you've actually written and why? What's the reason that it touches you so much?
Wow. So I've written a lot of songs, and I've never really gave consideration to what my favorite one is. The one I performed, Death in D Major, I'm not going to say it's my favorite song that I've written, but an example of a period of songwriting that is my favorite because it's the first thing that I wrote about when I started to work for the funeral home. As somebody new to those experiences in the first 2 years of dealing with people that are going through loss, grief, death of a loved one, it was, I think you write differently in the first exposures of things as you do from 18 years later, when you're just kind of hardened to the reality of things.
Okay.
So that's a good one.
Area 62.
Grave digger's boots are caked with mud. Oops. Take this over. Take two. Change keys. The grave digger's boots are caked with mud. Flowers shoved in a vase on a card that's written with love. A coffin key conversation, list as a belly of an urn. Is it better to spend eternity in the cold ground or to be burned? Or place a hand upon the shoulder and you're looking so much older. You know we live forever in the song, but I think you knew it all along. The feet face east and the coffin lid is closed. Whisper that you love me, here's a graveside rose. Forgotten all about you up until just now. Forgive me for I will forget you again as they lower you into the ground. There's a song for the green hills, only the shadow and the silence can hear. 6 feet under, but in my heart you will be near. But I think you knew it all along. Shovel stabs of dirt, wooden splinters in my eyes. Soul in possession about head, but I promise you I never cry. The carnival lights have gone out and the Midway is a ghost town. The bars are filled with strangers now. I'll drink to you, man, or buy another round. Place a copper penny on both eyelids. Safe journey to the end of the night. You know we live forever in the song, but I think you knew it all along. All alone.
Area 62.
And then, you know, I could look at like some stuff. Dave and I are working on an album right now in Los Angeles at Pacifica Studios with Glenn Nishida Engineering. Love you, Glenn. Hope you're listening to this. You got to make
Yeah,
it sound
Glenn.
good. That's why I'm plugging you, man. But some of the new stuff, like we just did Service Your Country in Georgia. I mean, in these new periods, that's some of my favorite stuff. You know?
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, those were good.
Yeah, that's a good song.
But I wanted to ask you, last night I was looking into your stuff and I noticed that when I was listening to Rim on the Asphalt, I was wondering if that's a true story. I mean, I'm from Palm Springs originally, so when I first heard Gene Autry, I was like, what's going on? What? And now that I know that you work in the funeral home business, I want to know how much of that is true, and was it a freestyle or?
It was actually, it's funny enough, man, I haven't listened to that in years. That's wild. But it was actually a freestyle into a tape recorder as I was driving.
Oh, that's what it sounded like.
Taken into the studio and added as the lead vocal. So it was just kind of like a stream of conscious spoken word thing. And I got to go back and listen to that.
Yeah,
Lyrically,
it's pretty interesting.
those lyrical stories are interesting. But yeah, it's always, like I said, there's an embellishment of things that you experience. And then there's just kind of like, you're always taking from something. So maybe I'm taking from some experience I'm having at my day job, and then I'm grabbing something else in a book I'm reading, or and just, you know, throwing it all together. And that's probably where it's at. But I'm going to have to go back and listen to that one because it's been a while.
So you're an undertaker who undertakes music too.
Yeah, I do some
as well.
undertaking of the music. It's helped support my musical endeavors.
But I also wanted to know more about your worst and your live performance, if you feel so inclined to talk about it. Because I heard one story already, but I want to know more from you.
So, like, worst live performance?
Yeah.
Like,
Or
like it was a
wouldn't
bad
say-
show, or I was just
no,
really
but
terrible?
Like your experience performing. What was the worst experience you've had while you were performing?
Well,
It could have been the environment or
I was
things
thinking
going
about one
wrong.
as I was coming in at a period of time where, you know, this guy Steve Brown?
Right.
I think
yeah.
he works here
He's cool.
with you guys. He's a cool guy. But he played drums for one iteration of, I always had this backing band called the 10 Cent Thrills. And there's been several versions, like version 1, 2, 3. I think Dave was like version 3.
Yeah, I've been from
And
version
4.
3 and 4, yeah.
But we were playing some Irish pub in Palm Desert. I can't even remember what it was called. Dirty Nellies. All right. And we were
Thanks,
about.
Steve.
Thanks, Steve. Is he here?
Yeah, he's here.
So we were about a couple songs in, and they came up and they were, I can't even remember what it was, but they just didn't like what we were doing. So I think they like cut the power on us and threw us out. Like,
No. Oh my God.
so that was interesting. But the funny part was the next day I was in the grocery store, and some lady that was there came up to me and said, "Hey, I saw you last night when they at Dirty Nellies and they kicked you off stage." Super embarrassing. But she thought it was cool. So I'm like, hey, you know, each your own.
Oh, that's so rock star, yeah. I would think that's cool too. But what about your best live performance?
Best live performance? There's probably been a lot of them. I like the things that I've been delivering in recent years. It's hard to like think about a certain performance other than if it was a big crowd. I guess that's pretty good. Well, just not to go off course too much. So there was kind of a gap in my songwriter artist personas where about 10 years ago I started performing with a band called Gutter Candy. So it was like hard rock, 80s type of stuff. So we done a lot of big shows in the last 10 years with that. We actually went out on a Chris Jericho rock and wrestling cruise and performed last year. That was pretty good. But unfortunately, the drummer that was in that band, who was also in like version 4 or 3 of Gutter Candy, Rick Daley, passed away on New Year's Eve of last year.
Rest in peace.
buddy.
I'm sorry about
Unexpectedly. So that's kind of gone into, Gutter Candy's kind of gone into a temporary holding pattern, but I was already bringing back what I was doing as a solo artist with Shawn Mafia. So I'm looking forward to some of these Shawn Mafia gigs that Dave and I are going to do. Some of the best shows that we've ever done. So come see us live.
that. We will, definitely.
So how did you land on your name, like Shawn Mafia? What inspired you to do that stage name?
Well, I always thought it was cool when artists had like a different stage name, because I just thought that's how show business worked. So
Yeah, it
you had to
does.
have like a stage name. And part of my whole persona with the fedora and the suits and everything was very much a noir type of thing. And I was super into the mythology of the American Mafia. So I'm like, instead of being Sean O'Connor, maybe I can be Shawn Mafia.
Yeah, sort of like Nikki Sixx. You got the whole
Yeah.
the
I mean, a
punk
different name.
rock.
It also
going
helps
down.
in your day job, so people don't know exactly who you are. Except I
Right.
just gave it away, so I better watch myself. But
But speaking of it, how did you even get into that Into the mortuary.
Into the mortuary? Oh, wow. Well, I was out doing music still. I graduated from college, a 4-year degree, and in like humanities or something, that you're all ready for life in the 12th century or something to that effect.
Great, that's what I'm studying right now.
So you might want to get into the funeral business, but I just answered an ad for transportation needs, and I figured they weren't delivering pizzas. It was probably something heavy duty. And I thought that, well, this would be an interesting way to find stories for songwriting or just the human experience in general, which I was right. And it just kind of spiraled where I was able to utilize my college degree and things like that to become a licensed funeral director and manage and operate facilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
It just seems like not something that you really see when people host job fairs at colleges or at high schools. So it just felt like.
Well, it's funny you say that
turn of
because
events.
the funeral home, I won't mention the funeral home in case they, I don't know how they feel about my music, but, but we've actually had people go to the local high schools for career day and job fairs. And there's like a wide berth, man. People steer away from that booth. I'll tell you what. There's some like courageous like seniors that walk over there sometimes just for a free pen or something like that. But it's out there. But yeah, it's never. I don't think it's ever something that's like brought up during like career day or career counseling. Hey, why don't you get in the funeral business?
Yeah,
it's a fun, exciting career.
Do you have crazy stories for us today that you're willing to share?
I don't know if I can share them. That's the whole thing.
Oh, right.
I've got one story that I'll just say that I heard this from somebody else, which I kind of did. So I wasn't directly involved, but there was a guy that was hit by a train, and the agencies got involved that brought his body into their care, the coroner's office, that type of thing. And everything went forward. The family did what they needed to do and that type of thing. And 3 months later, the coroner found out the people from the train company had found this individual's foot. And it actually had somehow got lodged on the train and traveled the country for 3 months, which the family thought was amusing because his foot did more traveling after he was deceased than he did during his whole life. So
that's good that they could see the light in that, I guess. But I'm sorry, that's a little deeper than I was expecting. But a little birdie did tell me about a Buzz Gamble's story. I don't know if you're willing to share that.
I guess it's okay to share it now. What do you think, Dave?
About the boots?
About the boots? You were part of Pappy and Harriet's up there. So it's actually, there's not much to that. I was actually, when he passed away, he was up in Pioneer Town. So I went up there as a funeral home representative, driver, transportation individual to bring him back to the funeral home, and which we did. Not a big story there, but the owners of Pappy and Harriet's were really interested in having his boots so they could display them in the bar above with the whiskey. I think with the whiskey he used to drink.
His last bottle of whiskey. Yeah.
Last bottle of whiskey. So I was able to procure the boots for them and provide them. And are they still up there?
Yes, they're still up there.
Yeah. Wow. Courtesy of Shawn Mafia.
Yeah.
Wait, so Dave, you are working at Pappy and Harriet's now?
No, I was.
Is the High Desert a good place for musicians? And why or why not? Because it seems like obviously things have changed a lot throughout the years. But what's your take?
Well, it's been a good place. I mean, I've benefited from it. It's always been a supportive artistic community out here in the high desert. But the places to play, they're not as much as if you're in a more urban area. And they kind of come and go. So you got to kind of pick and choose and find where you can play. And everybody just kind of gets out and makes it happen. So
I have met the best and most interesting characters out here in the music venues where you go play, and the people who come out and see and participate. They're really great folks. And one of my favorite places to go is the Joshua Tree Music Festival, which if you ever go, you'll probably get more hugs there than you ever will in your life, because they're just all about free love and music and having a great time. So
Hugs, not drugs.
hugs, not drugs.
So Big Dave Johnson, the Desert Yeti, have you, the fans want to know, have you written any songs and what gave you the inspiration?
I have written some songs, not necessarily in this band, but I did co-write a little bit with the.
He's helped me co-write songs for Shawn Mafia, and he
did come
writes
up
his own
with
stuff.
with the bass lines. But one of my best songs that I did was with a band. Actually, with Yucca Man, it was Time for Speed, and with Hammer of the Oz, it was called Holy War, and we actually got that song on KNAC on the regular rotation with Long Paul, which was one of my life ambitions when I was growing up out here. You'd hear all the great rock and roll bands were on KNAC, and I was like, boy, if I can get my song on there. And even though it was online, we did get in the regular play rotation with other bands like, Metallica and AC/DC, and so that was great.
Yeah, that's a big feat.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
Big Dave Johnson, Desert Yeti.
Yes.
When did you first discover you can sing? Were you young, or did you take classes in it?
I mean, I always sang stupid stuff. Like it's one day at the dinner table. I want to tell you this little story. We're in Alabama. We drove from California to Alabama. We listened to the Beach Boys all the way, and I was just so intrigued by their harmonies and everything. But then I think Weird Al Yankovic had started doing stuff, but I think it might have been the Dr. Demento show or something like that, radio, where us kids were just laughing about the songs like Fish Heads and things like that. And so we get to Alabama, we're at the dinner table, and I remember Lowrider, like, all my friends know the low rider. Dum, dum, dum. Well, we were eating cornbread inside of a glass of milk, and I just sang, eat my cornbread with a little milk.
Oh, yeah.
And this table started laughing, so I was like, there you go. So just changing around lyrics sometimes is really fun for me to do. And like the other day, there's an open mic at the Saloon on Tuesdays at 7. And
Which saloon?
At the Saloon in Joshua Tree. Yeah. And I help out with that every other week with Chris Aldridge from Chris and the Gang, which is a great band. You should go see them if you ever have a chance. Paul Muller comes out there and plays keyboards and everything. But there was one performer, and we usually, if there's not enough performers to fill in the 3 hours, we start again. And this one performer last Tuesday said, no, I don't want to go up again. And so I got on my harmonica and I just started like, I started name. I said, come on up to the stage. Just made up a song right there when I was trying to get him up on the stage. So I just have a good time.
So if you're
that's why I got into music, just to have a good time. You
so
know
at
what
the
I mean?
Joshua
It's
Tree
like everybody
Saloon,
gets like drama and stuff. I don't want none of that. I just want a good time. And
so if you're at the open mic and there's not a lot of people and you're one of the few performers, you might end up doing a whole set of music.
A whole set of music
That's
by
amazing.
myself. Yeah. So I did bring a kazoo and a harmonica and a bass,
That's all you need.
just so I can get through.
So they
it.
just keep rotating you, right?
And just entertain.
Yeah.
Just try to entertain best you can. Make it up as you go along.
That's fun. So are you good at freestyling then, if you had to
no,
do that?
no, I'm not.
No?
Which is
BMX
it's funny.
riding's more of his thing.
Right.
Yeah.
BMX riding?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
He thought you said riding.
So, Shawn Mafia, could you give us a brief freestyle, or is that too much for the viewers? But the fans want to know.
You got your kazoo?
Yeah, I got my kazoo.
Loose ladies, geriatric jurors, juvenile delinquents of all ages. Presenting for your undistinguished disapproval here tonight, Shawn Mafia's out of sight.
Sorry.
Oh, that was great.
That was a
That was
freestyle.
great.
It's like a train wreck freestyle.
No,
No, it was
everybody,
exactly what we wanted.
that's
I love that
copyright
kazoo,
right
man.
there.
No, we need more.
You need more kazoo. Down at the crossroads.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you for
Okay. Unwanted harmonica.
No.
Suddenly, it's sometimes it's irritating. But
No, it's good. Thank you.
It's
One
so
time,
good.
my husband brought back this little harmonica necklace from Japan.
Oh,
And so
cool.
I had this harmonica around my neck every day. And every day, whenever I was just, well, this is when I was trying to get lower screen time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instead of pulling out my phone, I'd pull out the mini harmonica and I'd start. But it didn't sound nearly as good as you.
This is
a good
I just
idea.
spent some money on this as a Special 20 by Hohner, made in Germany, I guess. They have all kinds of names on there. And when I was stationed in Germany, it was in Neu-Ulm, and that's one of the towns that's on here. So I just thought I'd add that little
Oh, that's neat.
factoid right now.
Thank you.
Neu-Ulm, Germany.
Now, I have another interesting question for you guys, and I want you to be as honest as possible. Do you believe that every famous artist has sold their soul?
You have crossed the line between good and evil.
What the devil give you for your soul, David?
Heretic, I don't know. He got too many names. I didn't know who that was.
I wasn't using my soul. Figured you could have it.
I said, devil gonna get down there from here on crossroads. Yeah. Well,
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, metaphorically, sure. I mean, you sacrifice so much to do this. I mean,
yeah.
if you're going to go like all in on songwriting, you have to be obsessed. I mean, if you're really going to make it or do anything with it, or not even make it, if you just want to be good.
Right.
I mean, you just have to like,
Sell out.
you got to follow the muse. You know, you got to find stories. You got to have something to write about. You've got to work on your musical technicality, your ability, your vocal ability, your writing, and you just have to do it 24/7. And if that means losing jobs, losing your mind, losing relationships, we've all kind of walked that path in some way or another. And if that's like selling your soul to the devil, then yeah, you kind of have to do that in order to be the best at creativity in a way. And but you got to want to do that.
Right.
That's not for everybody.
So you said you to do your best, and you're doing your best. So does that mean you sold your soul to the devil? Just to clarify.
Well, I wasn't using it.
You weren't gonna do nothing else with it.
Well, let's say if I did, I got a bad deal in my contract.
What you messing with me for, man?
There's not enough zeros on this check. I don't know what's going on. My royalty checks are too low, so I'm gonna get an attorney and sue the devil. Is my plan.
We're
Yeah.
taking him to court.
Yeah, we're gonna get that guy.
That's right.
Please, for the rest of
What
us.
about you, Dave?
Hell
Did
or
you sell
high
your soul?
water.
No, I didn't sell it.
Okay. You let him borrow it?
You gave it to him free.
Yeah, I messed up, man. I was scared.
You signed one of them bad
Saw that
contracts
dog,
too?
I was like, oh my God, yeah, you can have it, mister.
But do you think there's like a real crossroads where people can go to, or
It's a
that there's
metaphorical
a-
crossroads.
It's in your mind.
Yeah, it's
In
all
your
It's
in
there.
there.
It's for real. You know, I mean, you got to go to some dark places.
Right?
It's like Dostoevsky.
I mean, I
Why
want
such a
everybody
great
to close
writer
your
is
eyes
'cause-
right. Close your
'cause the
eyes right
depths
now
of
and
the
imagine
suffering.
you're at the crossroads and the devil's there. He says, "I will make you a star if you just give me one thing: your mortal soul." Are you going to do it? Are you going to actually do that? Yes. Yes.
No. Ain't
I
no
smell-
way,
I smell
JRod. No way.
Does anybody
For
smell
those who
smoke?
can't see,
Well,
I was not in my head.
Eternity's a long time. I don't know.
That's a long time.
Yeah, eternity's forever. But some religions believe you're only in hell for 10,000 years, and then they open it up.
Then they give you a vacation.
Yeah.
Well, and not to say that all like great writing is about suffering and terrible things and bizarre stories. There's beautiful songs and there's beautiful melodies that are composed in conjunction with that. But it's about putting in the reps. I mean, you have to spend some time to get out the most of what you can get out of it. Right. And time is a precious thing in this life. I mean, you only got so much of it. You can never get any more.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Shawn Mafia, how do we get a hold of your music? Is it on YouTube Music?
You can buy my CDs at the thrift store.
Yeah, okay.
Right next to Harry Chapin and Gordon Lightfoot Records. No, you can find me on all digital platforms. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Shawn Mafia, SHAWN Mafia. And but I do want to say, and you brought up something inadvertently here that I think is important nowadays. Yeah, follow me on social media if you want to find out when songs are coming out or when I'm playing live, but go to Amazon, go to iTunes, go to Spotify, and listen to the songs. You know, what I have to say publicly here, I mean, that's not what this is all about. What I have to display on Instagram for content isn't what this is all about. Go listen to the songs. That's what's all about. Because it's crazy, and you both probably experience this too, that there's probably people you follow on Instagram or TikTok that are bands or artists, and you know more about what their cat had for breakfast or the content they're putting on there than listening to their songs. And that's not how it used to be. And I'd like to reverse that trend. So go find me on Spotify and iTunes. I'm going to have a new song, single release called Trick Shot at the Stranded Carnival. It was recorded about a decade ago. Dave's on it. Rick Daly, that passed away, is on there. So we owe it to his memory to get this released finally. We got Rick Chapey, a guitar player that's been struggling with cancer the last couple of years. He's on there too.
Shout out Rick Daly.
And then we
Rest
have
in peace.
a really cool steel guitar player, Marty Rifkin, who played with Bruce Springsteen and Dwight Yoakam and Glenn Campbell, contributed to that. So we're going to be releasing that. So if you follow me on social media, you'll find out when Trick Shot at the Stranded Carnival gets released. And I think that's all I have to say about that.
Good, thank you. Now, do you think that in order to be an artist nowadays, somebody who is trying to progress in their creative career, that they need social media in order to do that?
Well, you need a platform. And I think social media, I really liked social media when it first came out because it was like supplemental to the music industry and the film industry and books and literature and everything like that. And now it's just kind of like supplanted all that and taken it over.
What do you mean? What do you mean when it first came out? Like MySpace old?
Yeah, or before MySpace, you know. But,
AOL and dial-up?
Yeah, but, you know, like MySpace, but even like Facebook in general, when it got super popular.
2010.
Yeah, people didn't rush to Facebook for everything. You still went to the movie theater. You still went out and bought an album. You still did things like that. Social media has become this huge platform where everybody can kind of jump in. But the cost of admission is really only, you know, a login and a screen name. You didn't pay any dues to do that. I think people should get out and perform live. They shouldn't base their whole career on posting to social media. I think it should be a combination of everything.
So when's the next time we can hear you live?
That's a good question. So we don't have any shows upcoming. Dave and I are just really working in the studio in LA to finish this new album. And then we're going to be touring to support those new songs that are coming out. So be looking for us in the fall to actually start playing around.
Well, sounds good to us. Now, I want to ask you also, what would you say are your greatest accomplishments? I mean, I know that you've been in the mortuary business for 20 years, right?
As well as a successful songwriter and singer.
And a father, and I mean, who knows how many other crazy stories you have. And for you, Dave, what are your guys' greatest accomplishments that you can say?
Well, do you want me to start, Dave?
Yeah, you do it.
Yeah, you think about it while I'm doing that.
Fine.
Well, all those things you mentioned, I mean, within the context of my music career, my career outside of music, funeral industry, other industries, I feel good about telling stories. And if people got something out of that and I help people, that's great. I'm proud of I can sit at home and work on songs and listen to things I've done, and I'm proud of what I've done creatively. Maybe not everything, but, you know, so I get a benefit from that. Having a daughter was an amazing thing. Getting married a little later in life, it taught me how to be a grown-up. It's a pretty amazing thing. Family is always an amazing thing. And I'm just grateful to be here and to be able to still walk outside. As I leave this here today, I'll walk out and I'll encounter something out there that I'm going to write a song about. and some story I'm going to tell, and I'll keep telling those stories because that's just what I do now.
What would you say is your musical genre?
Ooh. Well, it's not EDM death metal.
Okay, why not?
Yeah, it should be, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Do.
Americana, because as a songwriter, I take all forms of rhythm and blues, country, rock, folk rock,
Like Bob
spoken
Dylan?
word. And it could be Bruce Springsteen meets Tom Waits. It could be Bob Dylan meets, some type
Shawn
of rock
Mafia.
band, or could be Hank Williams meets John Cougar Mellencamp. It's just I'll just take from everything, but it's all kind of based in Americana music, whether that's rhythm or blues, rock, blues, folk, country. There's always something in there musically, and I just put a story to that.
Thank you.
Dave, what are you proud of? Besides me. I'm just kidding.
I'm proud of the songs that you came out with, man. You're a good songwriter.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I'm proud of your contributions to those songs.
Man. I'm proud of the bass that I put down. But I'm always thinking I could put a different bass line down, It could be better.
How long you been
But
playing
it could
bass?
be worse.
Not long. I picked it up the other day. I played for about 20 minutes right there. It wasn't that long at all.
That sound like it.
Yeah.
No,
Anyways,
it sounds like you've been in it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're meticulous at your bass. That's really good.
Well, we just got back together, and I thought it was a little early to do the podcast, but it's all right. It's all good. I'm behind the songs, and I can't wait to hear them come out.
Yeah, and the one that we heard today for the Tiny Cactus Concert that we're going to hear, I'm not sure when you're plugging that in, but what was the name of the one that goes, thank you for your service?
Service to your country.
There's
No, it's good you brought that up. Well, I want to say that I'm proud of mostly of what I got most about music a little later in life. You realize it's all the people I got to play with. And we all shared this like story and this, it was like going to war. It's these relationships you have with musicians that really like the songs you're doing and are willing to step out with you and back you up. It's something special. So I really appreciate everybody that I've played with, including Dave.
I appreciate you too.
Steve Brown is lingering somewhere.
There's Steve. There he is.
But recently, when I first got back with Dave, there was a song called Service to Our Country that we performed today. And I know Dave is a veteran. He was in the Army.
Thank you for your service.
Yes, United States Armed Forces. He did I'm sure he'll talk to that. But he got a phone call, and he had it on speaker, and he was doing something with the Loma Linda Veterans Hospital.
I had an appointment with the doctor.
Had an appointment, but it was an automated voice that said, thank you for your service to our country. So I just kind of grabbed that and started like singing a melody to it. Mm-hmm. And then Dave, I'm like, tell me about it.
Kept asking me questions
about his service. And I just kind of grabbed lines and put it in there. And then I kind of tied it with having grown up next to the United States or the Marine Corps base in 29 Palms, having worked with them for active duty deaths in the funeral industry, having gotten drunk with a lot of these guys over the years. Mm-hmm. There was always that. What was really super interesting to me was the contradiction of how they were in the service and they had this extreme patriotism. At the same time, they had all these dislikes and a negative side to it that they would talk about. And I just wanted this to be like, here are these two things, and they live and they exist together. And then beautiful. About Dave's service. Dave, tell them about your service to your country.
You don't question orders. You either do them or you're out. And that's your service, Mm-hmm. You have a job to do. You have to guard. And then if you don't guard, then you're no good. And that's the military.
How is it going back into the civilian world after?
I've been back for so long. I don't even remember the military really. I mean, it was a lot of getting up in the morning, still drunk from the night before, and running. You do the right face, the forward march, and then their breath hits you. And it's like, oh, good Lord. It was like, oh, somebody drank some really bad dark beer last night, and you just.
Well, you started your military career during the Cold War, right?
Yeah, I'm an old guy.
It was the first Bush, right?
Yeah, it was
Or was
just
it
at
Reagan?
the end of Reagan, and then Bush was president. Yeah, for most of that. But yeah, we go out in the Bavarian Alps and counteract the Russians with nuclear missiles, and then they had the treaty, and then we did away with them. We had to guard the Russian delegates that came through, the military people, to watch us downgrade, and that was over. So.
And now you're still involved with Veteran Affairs or.
Oh, I'm just I'm trying to take care of my health at the VA. They give me benefits, so I do have. I've had some medical issues lately, so, but we won't get into that.
Right. It's still essential to your story, though. So thank you for sharing all that.
Yeah, Dave. Thank you for your service to our country.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I appreciate you.
And thank you, everybody
And all the veterans
out there. All the veterans out there. That's the most important thing.
Amen.
Shout out to all our veterans. Thank you for your service.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think songwriting is like putting together a jigsaw if you're a blind person. Does that make any sense?
No, not.
I'm waiting for it to hit me.
Check this out, because basically, when you're putting together a jigsaw puzzle, you have the image on the box, and you can see it. So when you're writing a song, you're pulling things out of thin air. So you actually have to create the puzzle pieces. Then you got to start to put them together lyrically and musically, but you don't really know what the image is yet, so you can't see it. But eventually you will complete the jigsaw puzzle. And the beauty of that, so it's like you're doing it blind because you don't know what it is. You're just kind of putting things together. But at the end of that day, you'll have created something that was never there before, and you'll see the picture, and it's a beautiful thing.
That's right.
It's a very intuitive process.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I think that was an amazing discussion. Thank you, Shawn Mafia. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, JRod.
Thank you for the listeners supporting our broadcast. Just remember, LA needs to go back home.
Go home, LA.
Yeah,
No,
go
I go to LA all the time, so I'm in reverse. Like when I go there, hey, Josh Tree guy, get the heck out of here.
I went back to LA. What? I'm back. What's wrong? And then I go back to LA and I come back. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Go back.
But, yeah, it's confusing,
went
man.
back.
So it's like I'm always on the 10 going back and forth. I'm confused.
How about quit creating traffic?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
You know what would be nice out here? I mean, I want to appeal to city planners. This has nothing to do with music. But
You're running for office?
We're knocking down. They're knocking down some Joshua trees I hear out there in the desert and putting up solar. There's places that they could use solar where we could park, and keep our cars a lot cooler.
Mm-hmm.
And especially at the grocery stores and things like that. I want to appeal to them. Start using those to bolster the grid and create some shaded parking.
They have it over here at Copper Mountain. I saw it.
I know.
I parked under there while I was waiting for you because it was shady.
I would like them to have it at the grocery stores, anywhere you go to stop for an hour and a half, that your car's not going to be 130 degrees when you get back in.
My front yard would be nice, too.
There you go.
We're going to put this in their ears. Don't you worry. It's in our hands. No, right. Thank you guys so much.
And Nayeli, JRod, I appreciate you having me on here, giving me a platform to be able to perform some of my songs and talk here. And at the end of the day, it's just all about the music, right?
It's all about the fun.
I might have got a little crazy with my kazoo.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's all right.
I think your kazoo was awesome.
You can edit that out.
No, we're keeping it.
No,
we're
not keeping it.
I'd say just kazoo all over everything.
We're gonna edit that and put that over all of the parts that we didn't like.
Yeah, for the future, just bleep out with the kazoo.
Yeah. Alrighty, guys, we're gonna go out with one more song. Any final words, guys?
Wow. What's the word?
I think that says more than
like could or would or should.
Maybe.
Is that a good word?
Maybe's a good word.
Maybe's a good word too.
I might.
Right.
Good's a good word.
Good's a good word. What's a good word?
Good. It's better than bad. Unless you like being bad.
No.
All right, time to get out of here. Thank you. It's been a long day.
Adios.
Somewhere in a hospital bed dying, riding through this desert all alone. Ain't got no reception to call you, even if you could answer your phone. The morphine drip feeds your existence. So damn high, but you still feel pain. And death is coming straight for you, bailing down the tracks like a runaway train. You were a bar hustling poor queen. Door all apart at the seams. Every hustler got a good story to tell you, and you could shake your money maker so well. But hard living can make for hard dying. Baby, you're a tough one for even trying. Sometimes you rob a man of his gold, and sometimes you're the one who gets rolled. So if you're in pain tonight, just close your eyes and let it go. Like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. Like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. Like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Pills that you had swallowed to ease a lifetime of your pain, longing for a moment in the sunshine. Honey, you bottled up all your rain. Your heart was always on the wild, even when your mood is would misfire. We all just make the best of our sin, and lasso a little virtue when we can. So if you're in pain tonight, just close your eyes and let it go. Like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. Like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. Like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, you ain't ready to leave this world. Every bone in your body aches for you to stay. Maybe when I meet the devil, it will parole me and let me walk with you in heaven someday. Still think about all the times we spent in every cheap motel on the outskirts of town. Everything always seems to be ending. Somewhere there's a curtain coming down. So if you're in pain tonight, just close your eyes and let it go. Like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. Like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. Lie back, close your eyes if the angels got yours. Oh, like a trick shot at the stranded carnival. 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 It's a stranded carnival.
For more of Shawn Mafia's music, watch Area 62's Tiny Cactus Concert with Shawn Mafia and Big Dave Johnson, the Desert Yeti. Music for this episode of Area 62 was provided by Shawn Mafia and the 10 Cent Thrills. Area 62 features desert songwriters and musicians. For more information about Area 62, please visit www.cmccd.edu/campus/marketing/area-62. For more information about Copper Mountain College, please visit www.cmccd.edu. Thank you for joining us in Area 62.